The planet Verax. 9 wasn't supposed to have survivors. At least, that's what the report said. 5 years earlier, a brutal interstellar war had ripped through the system. The once thriving colony cities were reduced to twisted metal and broken towers. Ships lay scattered across deserts of ash, their hulls half buried in black sand. No one came here anymore, except scavengers.
People like me.
My name is Daniel Cade, and I made my living searching abandoned battlefields for forgotten technology. It wasn't glamorous work, but war left behind valuable things. Ancient weapons, energy cores, navigation systems worth fortunes to collectors and smugglers, and sometimes secrets. On the morning that changed my life, I was flying low over a ruined city that once belonged to an alien empire known as the Valyrian Dominion. The Dominion had ruled dozens of star systems. Now their empire was fractured. Their royal family was rumored to have been wiped out during the final days of the war, which meant the shattered capital of Verax. 9 was the perfect place to search for lost treasures. Or so I thought. Chapter 2. A strange signal. My ship hovered above the skeletal remains of a collapsed palace. I had picked up something unusual on my scanners. A faint energy signal.
Weak.
But definitely artificial. Strange, I muttered. Most power sources would have died years ago. Yet something below was still active. Curiosity beat caution. I landed the ship beside the ruined structure and stepped out into the dusty silence. The air was cold and thin, carrying the faint smell of burnt metal. Broken towers surrounded me like the bones of giants. My scanner beeped again. The signal was coming from beneath the rubble. I climbed over fallen pillars and cracked stone until I reached the center of the wreckage. Then I heard something. A faint sound. Not mechanical. Breathing. Chapter 3. The Girl in the Rubble. At first, I thought I was imagining things. Then I saw her. She was lying between 2 broken slabs of stone, half covered in dust. Her silver hair was tangled and dirty, but even under the grime it shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Her skin glowed with a pale blue tint, something I had seen before among the Valyrians. But what shocked me most were her injuries. A deep cut ran across her side. Her breathing was shallow. If I hadn't arrived when I did, she probably would have died within hours. "Hey," I said gently, kneeling beside her. Her eyes flickered open. They were bright violet. For a moment, she stared at me as if trying to understand what she was seeing. Then she whispered something in a language I barely recognized. Valyrian. I activated the translator in my wrist device. "Don't move," I said. "You're hurt."
Her voice was weak.
"Human?"
"Yeah."
Her eyes widened slightly. Then she tried to sit up. Pain shot through her body and she collapsed again. "You're bleeding badly," I said. "I need to get you out of here." She looked around the ruins as if remembering something terrifying. "No," she whispered. "They will come back."
"Who will?"
But she had already lost consciousness. Chapter 4. A Dangerous Rescue. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know why she was here. But leaving her to die wasn't an option. I carefully lifted her and carried her back to my ship. She was surprisingly light. Her skin felt cold, almost fragile. Inside the ship, I laid her on the medical table and activated the AutoMed scanner. The machine hummed softly as it analyzed her injuries. The screen flashed several warnings. Severe blood loss. Internal trauma. Energy weapon burns. "Who did this to you?" I muttered. The medical unit injected healing nanites into her bloodstream. Slowly, her breathing stabilized. Color returned to her pale face. But something still bothered me. The scanner had detected something unusual in her genetic profile. Something rare. Something royal. Chapter 5. The Symbol. While the medical system worked, I searched through her belongings. Most of her clothing had been damaged in the collapse, but around her neck hung a small metallic pendant. I picked it up. The moment I saw the symbol engraved on its surface, my heart skipped. It was the imperial crest of the Valyrian Dominion. Not just any crest. The royal crest. Only members of the ruling family were allowed to wear it. I slowly looked back at the unconscious girl. "Wait a second," I whispered. That couldn't be right. The royal family had died during the war. Everyone knew that. But if that symbol was genuine, then the girl lying on my medical table wasn't just any survivor. She was royalty. Chapter 6: Awakening. Several hours later, she woke up. Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, she seemed confused. Then she saw me sitting across the room. Her body tensed. "You're safe," I said quickly. "You brought me here?"
Yeah.
She looked around the ship cautiously. "You're a scavenger." "Is it that obvious?" "Yes." I shrugged. "Fair enough." She tried to stand, but her injuries made her stumble. I moved closer to support her.
Easy.
She studied my face carefully. "You helped me."
Yeah.
"Why?" The question caught me off guard. "Because you are dying." She seemed to think about that for a moment. Then she nodded slowly. "My name is Lyra. Daniel." She repeated the name softly, as if testing the sound. Then she noticed the pendant in my hand. Her expression changed instantly. "Where did you get that?" "You were wearing it." She quickly grabbed it and placed it back around her neck. "That belongs to me." I figured. Silence filled the room. Then I said the words that had been bothering me all day. "That's the royal crest, isn't it?" She froze. Chapter 7: The Truth. For several seconds, Lyra didn't speak. Then she sighed. "You weren't supposed to see that." "Well, I did." She looked out the window toward the ruined city below. "My family ruled the Valyrian Dominion for centuries." "So you really are royalty?" "Yes." "You're a princess." She hesitated, then nodded. "I am Princess Lyra Valyrian. The last surviving heir of a fallen empire was sitting in my ship, and I had found her buried under a pile of rubble." "You're supposed to be dead," I said quietly. "That's what the assassins believed." Chapter 8: The Assassins. Lyra explained what had happened. During the final days of the war, a powerful faction within the Dominion had betrayed the royal family. They wanted control of the empire. So they arranged for the royal fleet to be destroyed. Her parents, her brothers, her sisters, all killed. Lyra had barely escaped. "I hid on Varix 9, she said. "This planet was abandoned after the war. Until those people found you." She nodded. "They tracked my ship. And tried to kill you." "Yes." I leaned back in my chair. "That's a lot for one person to deal with." Her voice was calm, but cold. "I have survived worse." Chapter 9: Trouble in Orbit. Our conversation was interrupted by an alarm. My ship sensors had detected something entering orbit. I checked the monitor. 3 warships. Black, angular, and very heavily armed. Lyra's face went pale. "They found me." "Those are the assassins?" "Yes." "How did they track you?" Her expression darkened. "They probably followed my escape beacon." The ships began scanning the surface. "If they detect us," she said quietly, "they will destroy this entire area." I stared at the screen. "Well," I muttered, "this just became a very bad day." Chapter 10: Running. I powered up the engines. The ship lifted from the ground and shot into the sky. Within seconds, the enemy ships locked onto us. Warning lights flashed across the cockpit. "Missile lock," the computer announced. Lyra grabbed the seat beside me. "You know how to fly this thing?" "Sort of." "That's not comforting." The first missile streaked past us, exploding against a distant tower. The shockwave shook the ship. I pushed the engines harder. We dove into the narrow canyons between the ruined city structures. Enemy fighters launched from the warships and began chasing us. "This is insane," I shouted. "You chose this life," Lyra said calmly. "I chose scavenging, not rescuing alien princesses." Chapter 11. The Hidden Base. Lyra suddenly pointed toward a distant mountain range. "There." "What's there?" "An old royal outpost." "You have a secret base on this planet?" "Yes." "Why didn't you mention that earlier?" "You didn't ask." I aimed the ship toward the mountains. The fighters followed close behind. Laser fire streaked past us. Explosions shook the sky. Finally, we reached a narrow canyon entrance. Lyra activated something on her pendant. The canyon wall opened. A hidden hangar appeared inside the mountain. I flew the ship through the entrance, just before the enemy fighters could react. The doors slammed shut behind us. Silence returned. Chapter 12. The Princess's Plan. Inside the base were old defense systems, dormant but intact. Lyra walked toward a central console and activated the ancient controls. Screens flickered to life. Satellite weapons.
Defense drones.
Orbital cannons. "You're going to fight them?" I asked. "Yes. There are 3 warships up there." She looked at me, and I realized something then. This wasn't just a princess. She had been raised to command armies. She activated the defense grid. Moments later, powerful beams shot from hidden satellites in orbit. One of the enemy ships exploded instantly. The other 2 tried to retreat, but the automated cannons were faster. Within minutes, the sky above Varex 9 was clear. Lyra shut down the systems. The danger was gone. Chapter 13. A New Future. Days passed as Lyra recovered from her injuries. During that time, we talked. About the war. About the Empire. About what came next. Eventually, she stood beside me on a balcony, overlooking the mountains. "The Dominion still has loyal systems," she said. "But they believe the royal family is gone. So, you're going to reveal yourself." "Yes." "And rebuild the Empire." She nodded. Then she looked at me. "You saved my life." It wasn't a big deal. It was. Her expression softened. "You could have taken my pendant and sold it." True. "You could have abandoned me." Also true. "But you didn't." I shrugged. "Guess I'm not a great scavenger." She smiled slightly. "Or perhaps you are something more." Chapter 14. An Unexpected Offer. Lyra turned toward me. "Come with me." "Where?" "To the Dominion." "You're serious?" "Yes." "Why would you want a human scavenger on your royal team?" "Because you are loyal. And you are brave. And," she smiled, "you are the man who saved a princess." I laughed. "That's not exactly a job qualification." "It is where I come from." I looked out at the endless stars. My old life had been simple, quiet, lonely, but suddenly the future felt much bigger. "All right," I said. "I guess I'm in." Epilogue. The beginning of a legend. Years later, historians would write about the restoration of the Valyrian Dominion. They would speak of Princess Lyra's return, of the battles that reclaimed her empire, of the alliances that reshaped the galaxy. But there was one small detail many of them overlooked. Before she became empress, before the Dominion rose again, she had been a wounded girl lying in the ruins of a forgotten world. And the person who found her was just a scavenger looking for scrap. Sometimes the fate of empires changes not because of armies, but because one stranger decides to help another. And that's how the girl I saved in the ruins turned out to be a princess.